painless hypodermic needles and precision gears utilized in various machines are the result of exceptional Japanese manufacturing techniques. The intricate artistry behind these products is brought to life by skilled craftsmen, commonly known as artisans. Takumi Fujimura, once a revered artisan who has now entered his 70s, faces a challenging moment when a representative from a prominent company presents him with an impractical request. Upon rejecting the order, the man condescendingly diminishes Fujimura, asserting that his advanced age renders him obsolete and ineffective. He calls him a fossil and tells him that people like him should just keep quiet and be useful to the major companies. Angered by this, Fujimura grabs him by his collar and reminds the man that artisans put their pride into their work. He would never make anything that he isn't satisfied with. Fujimura shoves the man to the wall and tells him to get out of his workshop. The man is unfazed. He agrees to leave, but not before reminding him that he will not get away scot-free. The man threatens to make sure that this violent act is reported to the authorities. This is how we get to Fujimura's current situation. With no money to his name, his days as an artisan are all but over. He wonders what he can do. After all, no place will hire an old guy like him. This is the only thing he has ever done. Now he has no clue what the future holds for him. With no parents or children, he is on his own. He steps out of his workshop. As he gazes at the building, he can't help but reminisce about the good times. He recalls his whole life up to this point. All the good memories of spending time with his friends and even the bad ones. He went through so many hardships until finally, he was able to open his very own shop with his friends. Before he realized it, he was already a 70-year-old man. He wonders if perhaps his life wasn't that bad after all. However, he does have only one regret. He takes down his signboard, signaling the closure of his shop. Out of nowhere, he feels intense pain in his chest, as he suddenly has a heart attack. He falls to the floor as his life slowly fades away. He was so consumed with work that he neglected his health. In his dying moments, Fujimura's only wish is to have another chance so he can do things differently. Little did he know that his wish would be granted. He wakes up in another world as a young boy. Having just woken up, his body lacks the energy to move around. He just sits there wondering what's going on. He seems to be on a hill, with the only sign of civilization being far in the distance. A window suddenly pops up out of thin air. It resembles a status screen, similar to the ones you find in RPG games. It reads, Meikugen, the Eye of the Master Craftsman. The first thing that comes to his mind is his workshop, signifying the obsession he had with his work. Observing his oversized clothes, he recalls collapsing in the lot. Despite managing to stand and walk again, it becomes clear that he is still completely unaware of what is happening. After wandering for a while, he comes across a person training with her sword. She is a healer named Frau von Freya and has a huge bruise on her cheek. For some reason, she seems to be upset as she erratically swings her sword at a log. Because of her strong swing, her metal hand comes off, revealing it to be a prosthetic hand. Fujimura has been watching this scene from a distance, wondering what she is doing. He calls out to her, referring to her as a young lass. He asks, "Where is this place?" The girl gets scared upon suddenly hearing a voice. Fujimura still hasn't realized that he has been reincarnated as a young man. He refers to himself as an old coot, leaving the girl confused about who he is talking about. The girl takes Fujimura to her house in the nearby town. Being an artisan at heart, he instantly gets to work to fix the girl's prosthetic hand. However, his mind is still wondering what is going on. The only conclusion he can reach is that this all must be a dream. If so, then this must be a heck of a dream for him to be a kid in a European-looking country. The girl asks him if he is all right since he is looking a bit depressed. Fujimura tells her that he is fine and gets to work. He grabs a power drill and fixes the prosthetic hand in no time. As soon as the girl puts on her new hand, she is left awestruck. She is shocked by how great it is. The lightness and the range of motion, it's just amazing. The girl mentions that he resembles the dwarves of legend. However, all Fujimura can do is stare at her with an empty expression, wondering what the heck is she talking about. The girl explains that the dwarves are a fabled race who excelled at smithing. They are said to be apostles of God who made legendary weapons for heroes. They created many magical weapons, the likes of which were used to seal away the Demon King. Magic swords that unleashed lightning, divine staffs capable of reviving the dead, and shields that could stop any disaster are the kinds of weapons the dwarves made. Fujimura is sure that one of them must be crazy. Either he is in a dream, or the girl is just out of her mind. She continues her story. She tells him that the Demon King's army has been revived and is active once again. Even their strongest weapons proved useless against their might, and so, her only dream is to become a hero with powerful weapons that could help her defeat the demons. The reality, however, is that she is just a powerless healer. In fact, she recently got fired from her party. Now, as a solo adventurer, she is determined to learn the skills of swordsmanship. After hearing this long story, Fujimura is certain that the girl must have taken some hardcore drugs or something. He concludes that he has somehow ended up in some idiot's dream. To remedy the situation, he does what he has always seen people do on TV. With a big swing, he slaps himself across the face really hard. However, unlike what he expected, he starts bleeding from his nose and he feels stinging. Fujimura is left completely shocked. Seeing this absurd thing, the girl leaps into action and begins casting a spell. As the seconds pass, Fujimura's bruised face slowly begins to heal. Eventually, the wound is completely gone. Freya becomes relieved upon seeing this. Her healing ability is the only thing she has confidence in. However, half of the credit belongs to her staff. It has a rare B-class stone in it. It is her family's treasure. Fujimura isn't listening to any of this, since he is still in shock after seeing a real-life magic spell. His body starts shaking uncontrollably as he struggles to take out a cigarette. Fujimura is finally struck with reality. Up till now, he thought it was just a strange feeling, but now he knows that isn't the case. He finally recognizes that he has somehow wound up in another world. He realizes the gravity of the situation as he recalls the earlier conversation about demon kings, heroes, and magic items. His only way to survive might be to make weapons like the girl mentioned earlier. After calming himself down, he is finally able to think. With a smile on his face, he asks the girl to let him look at her staff. He thought that the smile might make him look more friendly, but it only made him look like a creep. The girl flat out refuses. She can't just hand over her precious family treasure after all. Hence, Fujimura decides to go to Plan B. He starts making a sad face, with fake tears in his eyes. The girl holds out as long as she can, but I guess she eventually falls victim to the power of the sad face. He promises to take good care of it. She reminds him that she is only lending it to him. While he is at it, he also asks for a bite to eat along with a book about this world. When inspecting the staff, Fujimura realizes that he can not only speak the language, but he can also read the language of this new world. She tells him that she will be heading back into town as it is getting dark. Before leaving, she warns him not to go near the northern mountains, especially at night. This is because there have been reports of eyeless appearing there. They are demons who have destroyed countless villages. They have a triple B rank. They were rumored to have been defeated by the Kingdom Knights, but now, with everything happening, they have been appearing a lot. Fujimura puts on a brave face and starts walking off. But it's hard to hide one's real feelings, as they say. After researching a bit, he has come to learn that this is the fantasy world called Elvana. This is a world with unique minerals called magic stones. With a bit of mana, they can produce a variety of effects including lightning, heat, wind, etc. Their usage includes everything from household stuff to combat. Fujimura decides to try and mess around with it for a while. He is confident that he will figure something out as it's a mineral stone, and he's sure that he can break it eventually. This particular magic stone that he has is called Kaisekigen, the Eye of Analysis. As he looks closer, he sees the center of the stone suddenly light up. It keeps getting brighter and brighter until finally, the stone breaks into pieces with its core being the only thing left. Fujimura picks it up, wondering what the heck this is. Perhaps it's some kind of a luminescent stone. He decides to use a file to make it smoother. As the dust begins to collect, the stone suddenly lets out a spark. This lights the dust on fire, causing an explosion. With that, the existence of a highly pure crystal was confirmed. After much research, Fujimura realizes that the core is what contains the real power, even though it's only 20% of the total volume. The rest of the parts act as a limiter to control the immense force. This meant that the stone was reduced to 1/10 of its power. With this finding, he prepares to get to work. Even though the stone is proving to be a tough nut to crack, Fujimura is undeterred. On the contrary, he gets excited after getting a challenge in such a long time. He begins with the same process as metalworking. It can be divided into 4 parts. First, you have to do the preparations. Then you cut the material down into something more manageable. Next, you shape it into the desired object. Finally, you drill the necessary holes and do the thread cutting. It's a delicate process which relies on the craftsman's intuition. One slip-up could mean that the stone will be wasted. For it to be a success, the craftsman needs to be hyper-aware at all times. They need to be aware of every single change that occurs to the material throughout the process, even things like temperature change. With that, the craftsman can make the necessary corrections whenever needed. If done properly, the craftsman can achieve a quality beyond even what a machine can achieve. Fujimura continues to work tirelessly. After surviving many explosions and going through hundreds of cigarettes, he finally does it. He has been working for 3 days non-stop. However, unlike his older body, his new younger body isn't tired at all. His head is the only thing that's exhausted after learning so many new things in such a short time. He also gained many skills as well. I guess the most useful one for him would be the poison resistance, which manifested because of all the cigarettes. While taking a break, he thinks about what the girl said earlier. It would indeed be hard for her to become strong, especially considering her prosthetic hand. On top of that, she belongs to a non-combatant class. Fujimura sympathizes with her since he too is on his own. He thinks to himself that if he keeps on crafting, perhaps he can help her out in some way. As he ventures through the grassy terrain, he suddenly notices a gleaming object encased in a nearby crystal. He decides to check it out. This is how the process of discovery, extraction, and processing of cores began in this world. As a few days pass, Frau finally comes back to retrieve her staff. As she enters the workshop, she finds Fujimura passed out on the floor. He quickly wakes up after noticing her presence. He thanked her for lending her staff, telling her that it came in handy. He finally brings out his creation. It's a giant revolver. Frau is left confused by what it is. He explains that it's called a gun. He always wanted to make one, and now he has achieved that one small dream. However, she isn't really that interested in and once again asks for her staff. To her absolute horror, Fujimura reveals that he turned her staff into the revolver she is holding in her hand. He starts a monologue about the awesomeness of his creation, just like a typical craftsman. However, Frau is not amused. She bursts out in anger, demanding that he put it back to the way it was. Much to her annoyance, Fujimura tells her that it's not possible. The core can basically be fused with the iron and can't be turned back. While Frau is still in shock, he decides to show her something else as well. He removes a piece of cloth to reveal all the magic stones he has collected in the past few days. Despite her anger, Frau can't help but be amazed by the purity of these stones. She is left to wonder how he got them. However, to Fujimura, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. After all he did was walk around, look for the shiny objects inside the rocks, and take them out. Not only that, but with just a single glance, he comprehends everything about the stone, its strength, attributes, name, grade, and more. Fujimura mistakenly assumes that everyone in this world possesses eyes like his. He believes that his eyes are an effect of coming to this world. However, the reality is made obvious when Frau reveals that no one has those godlike eyes. Terror envelops her as he wonders who exactly is this person standing in front of her. However, before she could get an answer, a sudden loud bang was heard. Both of them are left to wonder what it is. When they make their way outside, the horrifying situation is revealed. It's a demon. Frau instantly recognizes it as an eyeless. But what is it doing here in the middle of the day? It seems that it got attracted by the aura of all those magic stones. She quickly grabs Fujimura's hand, telling him that they must run. However, he refuses to run and tells her to fight it. He even tells her that it'll bust a hole through her roof if she refuses to do so. However, he is the one who might end up with a hole if this continues. Frau explains that the eyeless are dangerous demons. To make things worse, this one is a colossal queen class. Fujimura remains undeterred and starts fiddling around with his newly created revolver. He loads it up with a bullet and hands it over to Frau. As she struggles to wrap her mind around this situation, the eyeless leaps off the building and lands right in front of them. Calm as a cucumber, Fujimura instructs her on how to use a gun. Contrary to him, Frau is completely freaking out and begins to doubt her ability to get it done. Her shackles still hold her down, reminding her that she is just a powerless healer. She becomes scared and even starts crying. In a surprising turn of events, Fujimura steps forward to deal with the demon himself. Frau becomes even more scared and yells at him to stop. If he gets any closer, then he might die. With a determined smile, he asks her to trust him, to trust in his craft. Hearing this lights a new fire within her. As the demon leaps into the sky to attack them, she prepares herself to fire the weapon. However, she is still having a tough time believing that this mighty demon can be brought down by this tiny weapon in her hand. On his command, Frau uses all her willpower to fight off her shivering body and pull the trigger. Upon impact, the bullet triggers a massive explosion, swiftly eliminating the demon. She is left completely dumbfounded upon seeing the lifeless demon in front of her. She is still in a state of disbelief. Fujimura starts a monologue again. He explains that this gun concentrates all the wasted energy from the staff into a single point. This new invention is called Bakuen Fujimura. Frau, on the other hand, is still having a hard time coming to terms with what she just witnessed. Fujimura explains that he had to put a lot of work into it. The output wasn't stable for a while. He came close to death many times because of the constant failures. He also reveals that she can use it to heal as well. After working for 3 months, it is finally ready. It's the ideal tool. Fujimura's next statement leaves her shocked. He tells her that he will make her the strongest hero in the world. This way he will prove his crafting skills to everyone, and they will defeat the Demon King as well. This way they will both get what they want. Frau is dumbfounded. What she is hearing is so unrealistic that her mind just can't keep up. While she is still thinking, Fujimura extends his hand to seal the deal. He reminds her that she has nothing to lose anyway. This could be the turning point in her life. Gathering all her courage, she steps forward. Perhaps this is the miracle that she had been hoping for. Her heart starts beating loudly. She finally shakes his hand, forming a new partnership. With that, the unlikely duo is formed, ready to take on the Demon King and explore the dangers of this world.
Here I am, know it's been a while.